Hey there. Today we're going to talk about what happens at closing. We've gotten through the offer, the home inspection, the appraisal, and now it's time to prepare for the closing. Back, and we're going to talk about closing. What happens on and before a closing? The answer is a lot. Closing is the final step of the home buying process transaction. It takes typically 30 to 45 days to close. A couple of exceptions to that can be a cash transaction, which can happen much faster because normally there is an appraisal. It's waived because there's no bank involved. Sometimes a buyer will waive a home inspection as well, which can speed up the process by a week or so. Some closings have actually happened within a couple of weeks, but typically it's 30 to 45 days. Although the buyers and sellers agents get most of the credit for the successful real estate transaction, the title company is often what you would call an unsung hero. The title company's closing or escrow agent works behind the scenes to prepare all the parties to close the deal. The title company has a number of responsibilities that relate to the closing. Its job begins shortly after the buyer and seller sign the sales contract and doesn't end until the closing. When everybody signs the contract, it's sent to the bank and it's sent to the title company. Who picks the title company, you might ask? Well, typically it's the buyer. Sometimes it's the buyer with the help of their realtor. Some banks actually do it, which is a big time saver. So what does a closing company, title company, or closing department at a bank do? They determine the current expenses on the property. This is done by asking the seller questions, usually 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks before closing. Normally it happens electronically. They will send you a questionnaire to be filled out, which will have questions like your name, social security number, spouse's name. It will ask questions like who is the bank that holds the mortgage, so they can call the mortgage company and get the closing amount. The title company's responsibilities include verifying the status of the current property, such as taxes, utilities, HOA association dues, if any. This process involves checking with government agencies or special assessment districts like a PVA office that impose property taxes to determine whether tax payments are current. Water companies and other utilities that could place a lien on the property for unpaid services must also be contacted for an account status. If the property is part of a business improvement district, the title company verifies the fees are current for the property and that the district does not have grounds to record a lien against the property for violation of district rules. An example of that could be a historic district where there might be a lien placed on something because of something that was done to the house without permission. Next is the title search. The title company has the first task to open an investigation into the property and its history or chain of title, identifying any encumbrances on the title. That could be from a loan that was never paid off. It could be a contractor put a lien on your house because you never paid the bill. In some cases, you may not even know about them. An encumbrance is any claim on the property that affects the owner's right to possess or occupy or enjoy the property, such as a mortgage, a tax lien, or an easement. If the title search finds liens or other encumbrances, the title company works to clear them. the title company summarizes its findings in a report called an abstract of title. You will also need title insurance. The title company issues title insurance, which guarantees the title is free and clear of encumbrances. The buyer must purchase enough title insurance to protect the lender against any loss due to an encumbrance. So a lender isn't going to lend you money on a home if there's a lien on it. The title company has to ensure that the title is free and clear. Although the buyer may also purchase title insurance for herself, most buyers provide only the required insurance for their lenders. Documents that are needed for closing. Often closing day finalizes two separate transactions. Prior to that happening, the realtor, the buyer, the seller all get a closing statement. It's normally a three-page statement. It shows who is paying what, who needs to bring what to the closing. So they're going to finalize the transaction, the home purchase, and the buyer's mortgage loan. Each transaction has many documents associated with, such as the deed, the mortgage, promissory note, title policies, insurance policies, and any kind of disclosures. It's the title company's responsibility to prepare each document and obtain the required signatures. When you purchased a property or got a contract on a property, you put money down. That's part of the closing. That comes out of what you would owe on closing day if you're buying the house. There's a lot of talk about escrow. Escrow means money that is withheld to pay items such as property tax and homeowners insurance and title insurance. Among the fees buyers prepay at closing. The buyer and the seller normally split things like taxes. The insurance, which is one of the questions that's asked on the questionnaire, you have to make sure you have insurance a couple of weeks before closing, or at least know who your insurance agent's going to be and a number so that the title company can ensure that you have insurance. They're not going to let you close on a house without insurance. A lot of money changes hands during a real estate closing. The buyer pays a down payment, insurance premiums are paid, property taxes are paid, in addition to loan-related fees. The buyer's lender pays the seller the amount due after the buyer down payment. The seller repays the balance on his own mortgage in addition to any property tax he may owe. His broker's commission. His broker typically pays part of that commission to their broker. The title company and attorneys who are working on the sale must be paid too. The title company figures out who gets what from whom, records it on a HUD-1 statement, prepares all the checks. So you're going to be bringing a check to closing that is going to pay off anything you need to have to get started. Normally that check comes from the bank. They can wire the money to the title company, or they can give you a check to bring, a certified check. Then they disperse all the money. After closing, the deed and mortgage has to be recorded. After the closing ends, the title company records the deed and the mortgage in the county where the property is located. Recording makes the deed and the mortgage part of a public record that serves as evidence of the property's ownership. That all has to be done so that you have a clear title and that anybody who looks up the record can see that you now own the property. So in a nutshell, that's what happens. It's basically the title company does all the work. The buyer and seller just show up. The closing company pays all the payments that need to be paid. They will hand the new owner a check. They will hand the real estate agent a check for the commission. They will hand the seller what they need, and then they'll send any money out to pay off loans and so forth, so that everything is a done deal. When you walk away with your keys. In most cases, it's a simultaneous possession, meaning that when you get your papers all signed at 10 o'clock in the morning, you get a set of keys. The house is now yours, and you can move in. Hope that answers any questions you may have about closings. Stay tuned for more information.